In the world of professional wrestling, there's one name that rises above them all, a figure cloaked in mystery, darkness and power, The Undertaker. For over 30 years, he didn't just wrestle, he embodied something more, something beyond what any wrestler had done before, a streak that defied the odds, a legacy built on fear, respect, and sheer will. From his haunting entrance music echoing through arenas to the thunderous chokeslams that left opponents helpless, The Undertaker became larger than life. He wasn't just the dead man, he was a phenom, a last outlaw, and the beating heart of WWE for generations. Today, we're diving into the history of The Undertaker, the transformations, the rivalries, the defining moments. This is the journey of a wrestling legend, told through every eerie, intense, and unforgettable moment. Welcome to the history of The Undertaker. The legend of The Undertaker began at Survivor Series 1990. That night, fans witnessed something entirely new in wrestling. A towering figure dressed in black, eyes piercing, face expressionless, led by Brother Love to the ring. This wasn't just another debut. The fans had never seen anything like it. The silence in the arena was thick with a mix of awe and fear, as if everyone knew they were seeing history being made. The Undertaker's presence was chilling, almost supernatural. In 1991, he teamed up with Paul Bearer, a manager who somehow seemed even more darker than he was. Bearer carried the infamous urn, an object that seemed to hold The Undertaker's mysterious power. With his hypnotic control over the dead man, Bearer completed the character, making Undertaker feel unstoppable.
Jake the Snake Roberts, the clock on my embalming room wall is ticking down. Only 3 weeks away to WrestleMania.
Undertaker's darkness wasn't just for show. In the ring, he was brutal, dismantling his opponents with slow, deliberate moves that showcased his strength and intimidation. As he took on bigger challenges, including legends like Jimmy Superfly Snuka, he seemed to defy pain, getting back up no matter what. There was a sense of invincibility about him. Only a year after his debut, he faced Hulk Hogan for the WWF Championship at Survivor Series 1991. It was the height of Hogan's popularity, and the fans hardly believed that this newcomer would challenge him. But Undertaker wasn't there to play by anyone's rules. That night, he did the unthinkable. He defeated Hulk Hogan and became the WWF Champion. With that victory, Undertaker proved he wasn't just another face on the roster. He was a phenomenon, a unique character that reshaped wrestling by turning it into something almost cinematic. Every appearance, every match was filled with tension, as if fans were watching a horror movie come to life. He took on Jake the Snake Roberts, another master of psychological warfare, in what became a legendary feud. And then, of course, came WrestleMania 9, when he faced Giant Gonzalez, a monster of all men who even dwarfed the dead man. Despite Giant Gonzalez being unlike any other opponent, Undertaker wouldn't be denied. He kept his undefeated WrestleMania streak intact, starting what would eventually become one of wrestling's most famous records. By now, Undertaker wasn't just a force in the ring. He was a character who could evolve, challenge the boundaries of reality, and bring a whole new level of storytelling to wrestling. In 1997, The Undertaker's darkness grew deeper than ever before. No longer content with being just the dead man, he sought absolute control and formed a faction like no other, the Ministry of Darkness. This wasn't just a group of followers, it was an army bound to his twisted vision. The Undertaker had evolved into a full-fledged for the days of the silent dead man. Now he ruled the ring with twisted rituals and cryptic messages, turning WWE into something almost out of a horror film. He began orchestrating kidnappings, sacrifices, and bizarre ceremonies that left fans equal parts fascinated and terrified. This was The Undertaker at his darkest. One of the most infamous moments of this era, the sacrifice of Stephanie McMahon. In what felt like something out of a horror movie, Undertaker and his ministry abducted her, tying her to a cross-like symbol. He planned to marry her in a realistic ceremony to solidify his control. Yes, this was a new level of dark storytelling. For this era, Undertaker's rivalries also grew more violent and intense. He faced Stone Cold Steve Austin in matches that felt like street fights, full of betrayal, ambushes, and twisted mind games. His feud with Mankind, already brutal, reached its peak at King of the Ring 1998 during the infamous Hell in a Cell match. This match would become one of the most unforgettable moments in wrestling history. In one of the most shocking moments in WWE history, Undertaker threw Mankind off the top of a 16-foot cell, sending him crashing down into the announcer's table below. Fans were stunned. Mankind somehow continued the match, only to be chokeslammed through the roof of the hell in the cell minutes later. These moments solidified Undertaker's status as a ruthless force who would stop at nothing to make an impact. Undertaker's Ministry of Darkness wasn't just a faction, it was an experience that took fans into WWE's darkest corners. With eerie rituals, brutal rivalries, and relentless intensity, Undertaker was rewriting what it meant to be a villain in wrestling. The Ministry was powerful, unsettling, and iconic. By the year 2000, The Undertaker had become a household name for his eerie, supernatural presence. But then he made a shocking transformation. Gone was the dead man with a long coat and mystic powers. In his place stood a Harley riding, trash talking, bandana wearing biker known as the American Badass. Fans were stunned. Undertaker had traded his dark persona for a leather jacket and Kid Rock. It was an evolution no one saw coming. This new version of The Undertaker felt more grounded and relatable, yet was no less intimidating. He wasn't leaning on any supernatural aura. He was now just a tough as nails fighter, ready to brawl with anyone who stepped in his way. And during this era, he took on some of the biggest names of the Attitude Era, going head to head with icons like The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Kurt Angle. It was also a time when Undertaker was helping to establish the next generation of stars. His fierce rivalry with a young Brock Lesnar showcased just how intense he could be, proving that Lesnar was ready for the big leagues. Their matches were brutal and personal, with Undertaker's willingness to go toe-to-toe with Lesnar solidifying Brock's status as a future main eventer. But perhaps the most remarkable thing about this era was seeing Undertaker as himself, without the Deadman persona to lean on. He proved that he didn't need any supernatural gimmick to intimidate. His presence, experience, and strength were enough. After a few years as the American Badass, fans wondered if Deadman was gone for good, but at WrestleMania 20 in 2004, the unthinkable happened. As the lights dimmed and the iconic gong sounded, fans erupted. The Deadman was back. He emerged from the darkness in his classic trench coat and hat, joined by the eerie tolls of bells and fog that had become his trademark. The legend of The Undertaker was reborn. This return marked a new chapter in Undertaker's career, The Streak. Although he had not been winning at WrestleMania since his early years, it was during that era the streak became a focal point of his legacy. Each year, he took on challengers who were determined to end his unbeaten WrestleMania run, only to find themselves added to his list of victories. He faced incredible opponents: Randy Orton, Batista, Edge, and of course Shawn Michaels. His matches with Michaels at WrestleMania 25 and 26 are considered some of the best in wrestling history, with fans still debating if these bouts were the greatest ever. The streak wasn't just a record, it became a legendary status symbol, something that added to his already iconic persona. By the end of this era, The Undertaker had solidified himself as not just one star, but as the embodiment of WrestleMania's prestige. Every match felt like an event, and every opponent knew they were up against more than just a wrestler. They were facing The Undertaker and the weight of his legacy. As Undertaker entered the final decade of his career, he embraced a new identity, the Last Outlaw. This was Undertaker at his most intense, bringing a sense of finality and gravitas to every match. He knew his time was limited, and so did the fans. He took on only the biggest names, including Triple H, CM Punk, and Brock Lesnar, each match feeling like a chapter in his farewell. But at WrestleMania 30, the unthinkable happened. After a 21 match winning streak, Brock Lesnar did the impossible and defeated The Undertaker. The silence in the crowd was deafening. Fans were stunned, some even in tears. The Deadman's unbeaten WrestleMania record, once thought unbreakable, had finally ended. That night, The Undertaker's myth reached new heights. The defeat only added to his legend, making fans realize just how much the streak had meant to them. But even after the streak ended, The Undertaker wasn't done. He continued to return for special appearances, battling in memorable matches with stars like AJ Styles. His last match, a cinematic boneyard match at WrestleMania 36, which was a fitting end to his career, combining nostalgia, action, and storytelling. It was the perfect send-off for the dead man. Finally, at Survivor Series 2020, exactly 30 years after his debut, The Undertaker bid his final farewell. It was the end of an era, not just for The Undertaker, but for wrestling itself. The Undertaker's career is unmatched, spanning 30 years of reinvention, resilience, and unforgettable moments. From the chilling Deadman to the American Badass, from his legendary WrestleMania streak to his last ride as the Outlaw, Undertaker's career is one of a kind. So, what's his legacy? In a world of larger than life characters, Undertaker stands alone, a symbol of wrestling's magic, intensity, and staying power. Thanks for joining me on this journey through his history. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you are new here, and please share your favourite Undertaker memory of all time.